Today, guys, I'm going to talk about how I'm currently scaling my rental portfolio in Florida and in Puerto Rico. I'm going to give you a couple of ways that you can jump on board, jump on the train, and start doing this, whether you're a seasoned pro or a brand new beginner who's never done it before. And don't worry, with both of these strategies, you don't need a ton of money to do it. And even if you don't have any money at all, we're going to address how you can find great deals and then get the deals funded so that you have rental properties in your portfolio and no money out of your own pocket. My two strategies that I want to talk to you about today are buying properties subject to and seller financing. Very likely already come across these two terms, and I want to tell you why. Because for years and years, both of these methods have been around, but they've never been more prevalent and more prominent for real estate investors than they are right now. So very recently, just a couple of years ago, interest rates were at an all-time low, like practically free. Things were less than 3%, just ridiculously low interest rates. And those people that have those mortgages on their houses that are trying to sell now in markets where they don't have any equity or it's not moving fast, maybe they've gotten themselves in some trouble because of divorce or because of bankruptcy, who knows why they're in trouble, but they still have these mortgages on these properties at these really, really low rates. And the good news for you is that these mortgages have been out there for a couple of years. So when you can buy a property subject to, you get to take over that person's mortgage without ever assuming it, without ever going to the bank, and without ever qualifying. There's some risk, we'll get into that, but there's a lot of benefit to this. The biggest benefit, obviously, is being able to come into a property where somebody's borrowed the money at these really low rates, buy it, start paying the bank directly, put a renter in there, let the renter pay off your mortgage, so you don't have to do these high margin deals. These can be very low margin deals. They're really easy for real estate investors who don't have a lot of money to get into. So for years and years, the best way to buy something was always to buy it cash at the lowest price possible. But right now, a really good way is to take over someone else's already existing mortgage, and we call that subject to. Let me explain again real quick what subject to is. It's a real estate investing strategy where you're taking over someone else's loan. So they've got the really good loan, the less than, let's say, 5% interest rate, and they can't sell the property for whatever reason, and you come in and you negotiate a price with them where you give them a little bit of cash, they deed you the property, and you start making the payment directly to the bank. No assumption necessary, no credit necessary, and obviously when you're doing this kind of investing, it's very little money out of pocket because there's not a ton of equity in these deals. But generally speaking, the houses are going to be in pretty good shape. The banks were lending on them just a couple of years ago. So unless the people have just beaten the crap out of the house over the last 2 years, the house is still going to be in good condition. And as you move out the seller, you can move in a renter. And oftentimes your renter's going to come in and he's going to be able to pay a higher rental rate than you're paying to the bank. So let me give you a real life example of a sub-2 deal that I just did to build my real estate portfolio in Orlando, Florida. We found a house where the guy had actually passed away and we took over the mortgage. It was about $20,000 in arrears. It was in foreclosure, and the lady who was inheriting it didn't have the money to bring it out of foreclosure. So she inherited it. We helped her take it through probate. I brought $20,000 to the table and I brought the loan current with the bank. I then gave the lady another $20,000, so I had like $40,000 plus the cost of probate and closing costs. It was about $50K of my own cash all in on this rental property that I bought in Altamont Springs, Florida. A 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. It was in very good condition. The mortgage that I took over was at like 4 or 4.5%. I don't remember exactly, but a very, very low mortgage rate. And the loan had been in existence for like 3 to 5 years. So a 30-year amortized fixed rate loan that's been in existence for 4 or 5 years. So it's just really, really magical. I get to take advantage of that low interest rate. I'm paying the bank directly. I have very little money out of pocket, only 50 grand. We rented it immediately for $1,900 a month. And our all-in principal, interest, and taxes insurance on this particular deal was $900 a month. So I've got $1,000 a month, give or take, $1,100 if everything goes well on a good month. But factoring in vacancies and some repairs, I've got roughly $800 to $1,000 a month of positive cash flow from day one with almost no renovations whatsoever. It's a brilliant way to be able to add to our rental portfolio. We're about to close on another one that looks a lot like that. It's a little bit cheaper deal in Daytona Beach, Florida, where we're taking over a loan for like $115,000, and it's basically almost the same math. I'm going to bring $15,000 to bring it current. I'm going to give the guy who's selling it, he's not inherited it, he just is moving out. I'm going to give him about $15,000. So I'm going to have $30,000 in it, and I'm going to need to go in and do some minor repairs to get the property up to where it will cash flow. I'll be able to rent that property out for like $1,650 a month, and the monthly mortgage payment, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance is like $750 a month. So again, I'm going to have $30,000 or $40,000 out, and I'm going to be bringing in a positive cash flow of about $1,000 a month. And then, by the way, I'm going to be having a renter who moves into the property and pays for the property for me. And I don't have to make a ton of money on these. Like, these things are cash flowing really well. But even if I wasn't making very much cash flow at all, if it was perhaps less money out of pocket and no cash flow, I'd be happy to do those deals too. So you can do very tight margin deals, very little money out of pocket, and you can get yourself a rental portfolio that has cash flow, is getting appreciation. You can depreciate. You get all of the joys of ownership, all of the benefits and the tax breaks, all of the stuff that you get from being a landlord. And guys, I tell this all the time. If you can buy something today and hang on to it, have it cash flow for the next 5, 6, 8, 9, 10 years, you're going to hit a grand slam home run every single time. On the two deals that I'm talking about, both of them have some equity. So we're buying them even with some equity. And then over time, that equity is just going to soar and the renter's going to pay down the mortgage. This is a brilliant way for us to increase our rental portfolio. All right, number 2, let's talk about seller financing. Kind of in the same vein, but it's not subject to another mortgage. There are a lot of seller finance deals right now because interest rates have just shot up. They've just skyrocketed. So people, especially tired landlords, which is where I like to go to find my seller finance deals, they are in the business of collecting rental income monthly, and they're used to getting that monthly income. So if you find someone who wants to get out of the rental business, they'll oftentimes sell you things on seller financing. Also, these landlords, they own things free and clear. And so you don't have to buy it subject to anything. You just come up with your own terms. You negotiate with them the interest rate, the amortization schedule, the price. You've got multiple places where you can negotiate with someone who's willing to do a seller finance deal with you, where you can get a great deal. It used to be, again, that for us as value add real estate investors, we were always looking to buy things way down at the bottom, pay cash for it, close quickly, then do the value add, and then either refinance it and rent it, or just rent it and get the cash flow, or sell it, depending on what the deal structure was that we were going in. Right now, we're looking way more heavily towards these seller finance deals because money's gotten so expensive, and real estate prices have really skyrocketed in most parts of the U.S. So we're not seeing the great deals where we can buy properties really, really cheap. Everybody's getting closer to the top of the market. And since they're getting closer to the top of the market, in order to make a good deal, we can make a great deal by getting good terms. So let's say, for instance, a seller is selling a $200,000 duplex and it rents for $1,500 a month, and they're not going to budge on the $200,000. You can give them the $200,000 and negotiate with them that you're going to give them, say, $1,000 a month. So in my example, if they want $200,000 and they're bringing in $1,500 a month, you might be able to make them an offer where you give them the $200,000 with 10% down or something like that, and then 7% interest amortized over 30 years. You'd have a payment at around $1,050 or $1,100 a month, and you'd be collecting rent at around $1,500, and you'd only have that small amount of money out of pocket. Guys, you can also negotiate these seller finance at 0 interest. You can negotiate them. Really, you get multiple places where you get to negotiate with the seller to get a good deal. So that could be that you get really good interest rate, a really long amortization schedule, no down payment whatsoever. There's multiple places where you can negotiate with the seller to make your deal more palatable for you and make it a better deal. So now when I'm doing seller finance deals, there are multiple ways that I will take title to the property or that I will structure the deal. You can set up with, if you're going to have very little money out of pocket, you can set it up basically as a rent to own. And as long as you have good paperwork, this is a very tried and true proven way for you to buy a piece of real estate. You can come in with basically just the same down payment that any renter would, but then have an option to purchase contract at an agreed upon price, and you can have a section of money that is rent, and then anything that you pay above the monthly rental actually goes towards your purchase, and then you have a set number of years in order to exercise your option. I love that strategy because you can get into a property at a very low cost out of pocket. This is a really great way for someone who's just getting started, or maybe even someone who's going to live in the property and wants to have that security of homeownership eventually. Negotiate with the landlord to give you a lease option. If you're renting from someone, let's say you're a renter and you've been in the property for a long time, I think today's market, it's a good thing for you to go to your landlord and tell them, hey, I'd be interested in buying the house. Will you give me an option to purchase it? We certainly have done that several times with our rentals. We've got a rental portfolio in Florida that we've done that on, and we have even done that on the island of Puerto Rico, where we give someone a lease option contract and they have a very low amount of money out of pocket, a reasonable rent, and then anything they can afford above that, they're paying towards buying the house. And then they have a certain number of years to pay us the amount of money that we've negotiated. So we like to do these seller finance deals both when we're selling and when we're buying. It's just another kind of tool that a real estate investor should have in your little tool chest so that you can close more deals, so that you can increase your rental portfolio. So who would actually sell you these seller finance deals? I've mentioned this one particular, these are tired landlords. I've mentioned them a few times throughout this video. Tired landlords are a great target seller for you to go and find people who would sell you on terms with seller financing. The other people who like to sell on seller financing are people that have land. So I see a lot of land is bought with seller financing because the banks don't like to lend on it. It generally speaking doesn't have cash flow. If you like to buy land and you like to sell land, buying and selling land is a very profitable way to be a real estate investor. Finding people who are selling land, oftentimes you can negotiate seller financing deals. People who losing their property to the tax deed. So with the sub 2 deals, I had you looking at the foreclosure list. With the seller financing deals, I would go and look at the tax deed sales. So the reason that I like to look at the tax deed sales in the States is because almost every house that's at a tax deed sale where someone's going to lose the house to not paying the taxes, they're usually a good deal, especially if there's a house there. They're in trouble. These are motivated sellers. So by looking at this list, it costs you nothing. It's easy to find. You can get it. You can door knock. You can go and speak to these people and you can make great deals. Other people that would consider selling you things at seller financing, people who've had properties for sale for a long period of time, and they're just stuck on getting their number. Oftentimes, people who are selling properties, they don't have a mortgage on it, so they could potentially sell you things with seller financing. So it's not subject to, they don't have a mortgage to take over. They're just writing up a mortgage and note. You're asking them to become the bank for you, and you negotiate with them for the length, the terms, and the price. Guys, it's a beautiful way to become a real estate investor, and it's a wonderful way to increase your rental portfolio and hang on to great rental properties. Again, the more of these that you can close, the different strategies that you have, the better off you're going to be down the road, right? You don't always have to just negotiate the lowest price possible cash. You can get some great deals while giving the seller the asking price that they want and the terms that you want. So there's more than one way to skin a cat, and there's a lot of ways for real estate investors to make money. This is a couple of methods that we're using right now in 2024 to increase our rental portfolio, both in the States and on the island of Puerto Rico. This isn't the only way that we're buying real estate, but I love these two strategies. So with that, give this video a like. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.